The purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to create a wall system for the mini barn project. The walls are going to be 12 feet long and 4 feet tall, and you're going to need two wall systems, one for either side of the barn. They're basically going to be the sides of the barn. So in order to get started here, you need some tools and materials. You'll need a pencil, razor saw, architect scale, saw block, some scaled 2x4 stock, and then a small portion of glue here to glue the assemblies together. So starting out with the stock here, we're going to create a top and bottom plate, and these need to be 12 feet long, 12 scaled feet. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the architect scale, and we're going to use the 3/4 inch side of the scale, and we're going to measure from 12 to 0 here, exactly 12 scaled feet long. So I'm going to line this up here at 12, and I'm going to place a mark here on the 0, and then I'm going to saw this in the saw block. And I need to create two of these. I need a top plate and a bottom plate. Okay, next thing is that these are going to be built so that they're on edge. And so the next thing I need to do is I need to get some material here for the studs. And the studs are going to be 16 inches apart, and I said the total wall height is going to be 4 feet. So if I subtract 2 inches for this thickness, 2 inches for that, that's minus 4 inches from 4 feet. So that would be 44 inches or 3'8". So I'm going to once again take the scaled architect scale here, and I'm going to measure out three feet. So it's from here 3 feet, and then 8 inches over on the inch side. And so when we're taking a look at the inch side of the architect scale here, I know that this point right here is exactly 9 scaled inches, okay? Because it's 3/4 of a foot, which would be 9, and that's the 3/4 inch mark. So 3'8" is going to be right back here to minus 2 marks. So 3 foot plus 8 inches. So I'm going to lay that out. And I'm going to create 3 of these. Okay, now I have the materials necessary to get started on this. We've just got one more thing to discuss here before we start assembly, and that's how to lay out where these studs are going to be located along this wall system. So here's how this works. Let me set this off to the side here. Now what we're doing is we're creating this wall system here, but we need to know where these things are laid out. Now, as I mentioned, the studs are going to be spaced 16 inches apart. And we're going to call that 16 inches on center. Now, we could say on center because it's measured from the center of one stud to the center of the next, and it's 16 inches. So when we take a look at 16 inches here, we have to convert this into feet to use our scale. So we've got 1 foot, which would be 12 inches. and then we've got 4 inches left over. So 16 inches is 1 foot 4 inches. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and convert this into a decimal here. And so what we need to do is take a look at 4 inches, and when converting to a decimal, we're basically talking about 4 over 12. And so we know that that equals 0.33 feet. It's 1/3 of 12. So really what we're talking about here is 1 foot 4 inches, which is 1.33 feet. Now, in order to figure out what this distance is going to be with our scale there, we're going to use our scale, which is 3/4. So I'm going to times this by 0.75. And so here's what happens when we do this here. I'm going to take a calculator. So it's 1.333 times 0.75. And when I multiply those things, I get 0.99975. So really, in actuality, this is 1 real inch, okay? So 16 inches is the same as 1 real inch, and so we're gonna use this information to help lay out our top and bottom plate. So here's how this works. First thing I'm gonna do is take these top and bottom plates, and I'm gonna orient them so that they're edgewise, okay? Well, now I'm gonna go ahead and search on the ruler here, the architect scale, until I find the inch side of the ruler. Because I just showed you the calculation there that told us that 16 inches is equivalent to 1 real inch. So now what I'm doing here is just marking off 1 inch and putting 2 marks, 1 on each side. One on each of these studs, top and bottom plate. Okay. Now with these marks in position here, I'm going to mark that one a little better. Now with these marks in position here, it's going to tell me where each stud is going to be located. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two studs here, and I'm going to go ahead and get a little glue on them. And I'm going to place them here. Now it's best to work on your workboard here, because this will stay. We're probably going to have to transport this while it's wet back to a storage locker there. So you want to build it on your workboard, and that way when the end of the period rolls around, you can just go ahead and move the workboard to your locker and not disturb your assembly. So as you can see here, I'm getting these lined up, and all I'm doing, my goal here is just to create a rectangle here at first. And you can see here, I'll try and square this up, making sure that the sides are 90 degrees to each other, and try and get it nice and square here. And all I'm doing is just putting a little bit of pressure on these pieces here. I don't have to kill it, but I just want to hold it steady for a few minutes under pressure just to get the glue to bond. And if you can use your template here to help line it up, make sure it's good and square. And so all I'm doing is holding that there. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this here while this dries, and then we'll pick up here in just a minute or two. Okay, well, we're back. This has dried up a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and continue the process here. I'm going to take one of these pre-cut 2x4s here, and I'm going to place one of these right in the middle, or toward the center of the the wall system here. And I do this for a reason, and if you note, I'm also lining up the middle of the stud or 2x4 here with the middle of the mark. And so I want to go ahead and establish one here in the center, and then that way it'll keep these two, the top and bottom plate, parallel to each other. There's a tendency for people to go ahead and put gradually bigger and bigger pieces of 2x4s in there, and if you don't have something in the center kind of holding it parallel, then it'll bow out. So what I'm doing here is just placing these in position, and I'm going to place all 10 of these in here, and then we'll come to a conclusion. Okay, well, that tidies that up. Now I just need to let this dry a little bit here and create another one just like it. And so when you finish, you should have two of these wall systems, and that will conclude this segment of the video. Good luck with your model.